007 Spectre, James Bond, Rook's first time watching the Daniel Craig series. Spectre. This one, I have not heard about everybody's opinion on this one, so I don't know what the common reception is. I'm on the fence on this one if it's really good or not. I liked it, but I'm not sure where I'd put it as far as ranking. I've seen all of the Daniel Craig Bond at this point. I don't know where I'd rank this one. It's definitely above Quantum of Solace, but this one was pretty good. It had another amazing banger intro thing. So let me start with, I guess the first opening scene is a little funky here. We're in Mexico City and it's all nice, having a party. You follow Bond for a bit. I thought they were gonna like bait and switch for a second and say, oh, it's not Bond. He got killed real quick, but no, it's not. And he's just like, oh, I'll be back in a minute, darling. And he just goes out the window and just casually walks across the rooftops till he gets to where he needs to be at. And then he is ready to kill some people, and just the whole building gets shot down with all this when he's doing this. And then there's a huge helicopter fight scene, and everybody's like cheering and cheering. And then they realize, oh shit, the helicopter's going crazy. We all might die here. It's a crazy little battle for a little bit, but then he ends up winning and flies the helicopter back to base. And then the intro scene, or the intro credit scene, the opening credit scene starts. And dude, this is a comparably good one to Skyfall's one. I'd say Skyfall's one's probably better, but this one has a pretty on par song that goes with it. And
If I risk it all, could you break and fall? How do I live? How do I breathe? When you're not here, I'm suffocating. I wanna feel love run through my blood. Tell me, is this where I give it all up? For you, I have to risk it all, 'cause the writing's on the wall.
it's all fiery look, and there's a theme of like skulls and eyes and octopus, and it was visually, again, really fucking awesome. I loved it. The song was really good. They're showing little hints in there. I think that Skyfall's visuals were a little bit better in letting you know what's going on in the story, sort of like a little bit more about what it's about. This one was a little bit harder to kind of grasp what it was sort of talking about here, but I still enjoyed the visuals on it regardless. It was really good. There's like, an octopus wrapping around the gun, wrapping around a woman, and all these different things here. And I don't know, it was just good. They have eyes closed and open, and, just whatever's going on with the words matching with some of the visuals. I really liked that. Again, these intro credits are fucking amazing. Loving them. And this movie's taking place after M's original death. We have a new M in this one, of course, but with the old lady M that Bond's been working with for a while, this is after that. And, it seems like in this one, they're trying to work with other agencies and organizations, and they're trying to essentially get rid of the 007 type of program. That the way that they've been doing things with all these agents and whatnot is getting kind of old. It's old fashioned, and they think it's a little dirty, and it's not doing very well. So they're trying to replace it with other stuff using more technologies and things like that. And that plays into No Time to Die as well in that film. And I kind of like that theme. It's kind of like saying, the old fashioned ways are going away, but they still have their uses. And there's pros and cons to both here that they display in the Daniel Craig Bond series. Is that there's a lot you can gain from new stuff, and a lot you can still have be useful and functional with some of the old stuff. That seems just one of the takeaways I'm taking from this. Let me try to get into the point of the movie here. So he ends up going to this one place, and it's all about Spectre. Spectre is this thing that keeps on coming up, and he meets up at this place. There's a whole like shadowy meeting going on. There's a Mickey Mouse joke in there, I guess, just kind of whatever to me. And it's Christoph Waltz is the guy, but he's like silhouette, so you don't really see who it is. And everybody's having a discussion. This huge big dude walks in and to take this one guy's place, and then just like literally just gouges this one guy's eyes out and takes his spot. And and then Christoph Waltz is talking. He's like, oh yeah, this whole time, it's all great. Nice to meet you, James. And it's just like, I assume that type of reveal is common in the old Bonds, I assume. It's how it felt a little goofy, but I was like, oh, that's neat. Okay, it's up there and he knows, and so he's got to get the fuck out of there. And this is all after I forgot to mention the specific parts here a little bit that I was missing. So they were literally trying to inject him with this blood thing that like supposed to keep track of his whereabouts entirely, but he's like, oh, just okay, that's fine, but for the first 48 hours, don't let them know where I'm at because I'm gonna be doing something else. Okay. Okay, cool, nice and neat. And he goes to this one chick's house, which is the wife of somebody that he has killed before, and she's getting hunted. Essentially, she's gonna get assassinated. But he saves her ass, and she's like, oh, "I don't trust you." All this, they end up banging anyway. So it's interesting little scene there, and then that led into the scene I was just mentioning before with Christoph Waltz, and then he gets away from that and he meets up with this guy that knows more about what's going on here and has a daughter called Madeline, and he's not really intimidated by Bond too much, but Bond even gives him his weapon. He's like, hey, you don't trust me? Well, here's my weapon. And the guy, is like, oh, am I going to kill you? And no, I don't know. And he's like, just, I just protect my daughter. And then he just kills himself. And it's like, oh shit, damn. All right, cool. You're done. All right, so now on to the daughter. So then, like Daniel Craig figure out where the daughter is, and he like applies for a job there or something. And she's looking at these questions and interviewing him essentially, and it's just getting a slower. You get a little bit more information about Bond a little bit in this type of scene, and she's slowly kind of like, well, this is weird how you're answering and what. And he's like, I kill people, and she's like. Okay. Things are clicking. Get the fuck out of my build. Get the fuck out of my building, please. Goodbye. And then she ends up getting kidnapped, and then he's got to go rescue her anyway. And she's like, "Get the fuck away from me." You think she's like a typical damsel in distress kind of a thing, but no, she actually has some skills herself. They end up going on a train. And he's like, I need to teach you how to protect yourself. You don't want me to protect you? Well, you got to learn how to protect yourself. He's teaching her some gun stuff, but she knows how to use a gun quite well, as we learn more specifically in No Time to Die. But in this one, we get a little bit here. He's like, okay, I don't need to teach you anything. We can skip lots of steps. Excellent. Great. And then that one big dude that I mentioned that gouged that guy's eyes out earlier comes in and starts fighting Bond. And it's a kind of fight that sort of reminds me of the fight in The Punisher, except for the Punisher in that fight he got the fucking shit kicked out of him, where he was literally like, how the fuck are you alive, man? After that little fight. This was sort of like that, but a lot less gory and beat up at the end. With it, he still came out looking decent and wasn't too fucked up with any of that. But the guy ends up getting a little a little rope tied to his neck, and all these little barrels are going out of the train, and he's about to go out too. He has not said one line in the film, and then he says his one line, shit, and it's pulled out. So that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. That was a nice little bit. And then the girl Madeline, she's like, well, what do we do now? And then they just go and fuck. And there you go. All right, cool. Nice and neat. James Bond films. Nice. Then going forward a little bit, Christoph Waltz gets them captured basically. They're in the middle of nowhere. There's not much else they can do. And they end up going in the car. They go to Christoph Waltz's place. And it turns out that he was the villain this whole time. He set up lots of things up, especially his first love, the Vesper, and all these different things that have happened and little setups here and there. He's nudged or pushed forward in some way. Whatever he tries to do, Bond, does back and whatever. It's kind of a back and forth thing in the shadows. And apparently, this is revealed in this one or in No Time to Die. I watched them back to back here, so I'm getting the details a little bit confused of when information was revealed. But he and Bond apparently grew up a little bit together at a time, because Bond was an orphan because his parents got killed at an early age and was raised by somebody. And Christoph Waltz was his brother briefly, is how I was taking that. And then he ended up killing the father. He was jealous and killed the father at some point. And there's just always been this huge grudge between them, apparently, and Bond has not really been aware of it. So it's one of those things that I like the concept. I wish there was a little bit more breadcrumbs that you could easily follow and be like, oh, this makes more sense. Though maybe if I were to rewatch Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace and them, there are some breadcrumbs that were set that didn't get answered and lead up to this point, but I didn't notice that many of them. So, it just came off as okay. It's just one of those type of I was behind it the whole time. The ones makes me think of just classic villain, I suppose. And everybody loves Christoph Waltz. This was after he did Inglorious Bastards, and he does okay here, but like his performance doesn't nearly stand out as much. I guess the scenes provided, don't give him as much to do for me. Just kind of revealing plans, and then he's just I don't know, I don't know. It was okay. And then they get Bond strapped to a table where he's gonna employ a torture thing to him. That's a little needle that goes into his head and supposed to fuck with his perception of things and memories, and it's a weird little gizmo thing that happens there. It's an odd scene. I don't know if I would have wanted I don't know if they could have structured it a different way that would have made it make a little more sense or seem a little bit more interesting. He's sort of restrained. He has like these cuff things that seem to be having him strapped to the chair, but then it makes it go behind his back. But then he's able to fiddle with his watch, which he asked if it had any gizmos from Q earlier, and like, no, not much. It tells time, and and there's a bit of a boom to it, and he's like, okay, whatever, okay, cool. So he ends up fiddling it out, and the girl like kisses him. The guy allows it, I guess, and as he's assuming that Bond can't see her face, but I don't know if it's implying that love kept him from forgetting her face or not, or if the thing didn't work. But whatever. She throws the watch at everybody, and it blows up, gives them a chance to escape. He kills a whole bunch of people, and then they get out of there, and is okay-ish. And skip to later, and he thinks everything's going nice and dandy. He's about to go into another fight, but Madeline is like, I'm done with this. You will always keep on getting into these fights. All your girls end up getting killed. I'm gonna ditch right now. But then she ends up getting kidnapped anyway. That was extremely easy to predict. I was like, you're not going to be with him. You're going to get brought into the story again. You just will. You'll get captured if you're not here on purpose. So, and that's what happens. But and he goes into the building, and there's like all these things getting set up where it has pictures. This is kind of funny to think about the process. Like he goes through this training area, and all the targets turn, and there's his face, like a picture of his face, like taped onto each one of these things. And he goes through the building, and there's in these different rooms, there's pictures of people that has died. There's M, there's Vesper, there's just all these different people that have died throughout the movies that you've seen so far. And it's like, oh, all these people that end up dying around you and whatever. It's just kind of funny to think of the setup. And then there's something else going on here. There's a big old demolition, which was set up earlier in the film. It's not like they had time in this to set up all these bombs. They were already set to detonate essentially by around that time. So it was already set up and just ready to explode. So I like that they set that up already. Craig ends up fighting some people and fighting him, and ends up saving her. And Christoph Waltz is getting away, and he's able to Craig catches up with him and decides not to kill him, which to me was a subtle little arc of he used to always kill everybody as soon as he can. He was pretty reckless, but this time he didn't. A lesson that the original M wanted him to learn, and now he learned it. So kablamio. I don't know. That probably helped them in their case to keep the 007 program around, because it seemed like they were trying to get the fuck rid of it. So him not killing the guy was there you go. They actually kind of even mentioned that too, that him having a license to kill is also a license to not kill. You have to choose when not to kill. So I like that little touch there as well. And yeah, so Spectre was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Of course, I didn't fucking hate it. I liked this film, but I feel like I have to rewatch it again to see and watch the other ones again to maybe this makes more sense than what I'm giving it credit for. Like, I liked it, but some of the things felt a little bit out of nowhere or a little bit out of place. Like, what really? Or is this, are you, how far are you stretching this? Is what it felt like a little bit in some of the areas. But maybe if I pay a little bit more attention during some of the films prior, it makes more sense and leads up to here nice and perfect. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.